This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. In the last session, we were talking about certain points related to product costing or manufacturing a production process. Let us try to understand some more points with a little bit understanding of SAP perspective. So far, we were talking without connecting, without referring anything from the SAP point of view. Now, let us slowly start understanding the points with the help of SAP terminology, SAP concept. As we're all aware, you're going to create a manufacturing process. You're going to do manufacturing. This manufacturing we are representing as a production. Same manufacturing we are representing as a production. Now, when you're representing manufacturing production, you're talking about producing, manufacturing a finished material. You need to have something called finished product or finished material. You need to have finished product or finished material. Now this finished material is the product which we are going to manufacture. This finished product is the product which we are going to manufacture. This finished product will have a cost. This will have a cost. This will have a cost. This cost is basically nothing but standard cost. Cost for your finished product or cost for the finished material, whatever you are going to represent is called as a standard cost. Now this standard cost is something that we need to understand how the standard cost of a finished product or of a finished material is being calculated in any place. Now the basic fundamental rule or law is FG cost or finished, let's say finished material cost is equal to RM cost plus conversion cost. Is this a statement correct? If I say finished material cost is equal to RM cost plus conversion cost, is my statement correct in a generic way?
Yes.
Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? This is what it is. Now, RM cost is equal to what? What is RM cost?
Raw material cost?
Yeah, this is basically raw material used in the production process or manufacturing process. Is it okay if I put this? Is this statement correct? Can I say RM cost is equal to raw material used in the production process or manufacturing process, or in short, value of raw material used in the production process or manufacturing process? Is it okay? Is it correct? Making sense?
Yes, sir.
Right? Slowly you need to make sure you're able to relate it to the point. Otherwise, it is not going to be clear. I know it might take a little confusion at the initial stage, but still we need to overcome those confusion. No other go. Initially, these confusions are quite common, but slowly we need to overcome by understanding step by step, one by one point, relating to the points which we are already aware of. RM cost is nothing but value of the raw material that we are using during the production process or manufacturing process.
Sir,
When I
I
say
want to
the,
confirm one thing. Excuse me. I want to confirm
yeah,
one thing. So the transportation cost or the means the cost in importing the material will be part of this RM cost, or it will be shown separately?
that is separate.
Okay.
Importing of your raw material, you mean to say?
Transportation cost and all these type of costs to bring the raw
Trans
material to the factory premises. So
that is taken care during the purchase order. So not here, your raw material cost includes all those costs that you're talking about. In short, you're talking about a direct cost associated to the
yes.
material that is taken care at the time of a purchase order while calculating the landed cost.
So it will be included in this raw material cost.
it will be included in the raw material.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and second one, when I put conversion cost. What is conversion cost?
Conversion cost is nothing but whatever the process to create a finished product.
Correct. Anything else? That is correct.
Manufacturing cost. Labor and
So,
overhead.
Activity cost.
Manufacturing
yeah,
Activity
cost,
time.
basically manufacturing cost.
okay. Can I say the activity cost and overhead cost? Is it okay if I put this?
Yes.
Yes,
Can I
sir.
say conversion cost is equal to my activity cost and my overhead cost? Is it correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? Now, what is this activity cost? What is this overhead cost? In order to do the manufacturing, in order to do the production, you need to take your raw material first. Raw material is the base. Without raw material, your production activity cannot be started. Once you have a raw material available, you need to take the raw material, process the raw material to convert it into a finished product. By way of converting raw material into finished product, there are two types of cost. One is your activity cost, another one is overhead cost. Activity cost is the cost that is associated with your manufacturing process. In short, to manufacture any product, you have different kind of a process. Let's say process 1, process 2, process 3. It may be one step process, it may be two step process, it may be three step process, four step process, depending on the finished product. Yes or no? It
Yes.
is
Yes, sir.
not a
Yes, sir.
fixed one. It purely depends on the product that you are taking. Let us not put any name to the process. We will understand only the process. Let's say in process number 1, you need to make one activity. In process number 2, you need to make another activity. In process number 3, you need to make another activity. Now each activity at each stage, at each process is represented as a activity cost. Okay, now this activity cost you need to consider, plus there is something called overhead cost. When we're talking about overhead cost, this overhead cost is basically calculated on material and on other overheads, other cost. If you remember, we were talking about cost sheet in the previous sessions. Yes, no? If you recollect, we were working on costing sheet or cost sheet, wherein you are taking raw material, you are adding other direct expenses, labor and all. You are getting something called a direct cost, prime cost. For that, you are adding other cost related to factory cost. You are getting works cost or factory cost. On top of it, when you are adding office and administration, you are getting a cost of goods manufactured. On top of it, when you add selling and distribution, you are getting total cost or cost of goods sold or total cost of production. In this process, you need to have some kind of overhead. These overheads are basically calculated on a fixed amount basis or on a fixed percentage basis. I can say my overheads, others please be on mute, those who are not talking. I can say my overheads are always calculated, let's say 5% of my material cost. Who is it? Mukund, can you please go on mute? I can say my overheads are 5% of my material cost or my works cost or my other overhead is based on 2% of my prime cost. Anything. In short, you can put overhead based on any percentage basis or you can put overhead based on a fixed overhead basis, meaning overhead can be a fixed amount, overhead can be a variable amount based on the percentage. Most likely these overheads are calculated based on the percentage, either amount or percentage. It is immaterial at this stage. We will try to understand there is something called overhead. In short, overhead cost. There is something called activity cost. Now this raw material cost, RM cost, is coming from value of raw material that is used during the production process. Now activity cost is coming from where? From where activity cost is coming? Based on what?
Routing, sir.
Based on the particular activities which are taken place in manufacturing process.
Right. How these activities are termed in production process? How do you term these
Route,
activities?
routing, routing.
Routing, right? This is basically activity cost coming from what? Routing. Agree?
Ajay, is it the process cost also or that is different?
Process cost, activity cost, manufacturing cost, it is the same. Different terminology used, but it is the same. Conversion cost, you can also call it as a process cost. Okay. Now, this overhead cost is coming from where?
Cost sheet.
This is coming from cost sheet or costing sheet. Now, raw material cost is coming from here. From where these raw materials are listed, what is that called?
BOM. BOM.
It is called as BOM. Right? In short, your cost is basically coming from BOM, routing, and cost sheet. Are these 3 points clear? How and why these are coming, that we will see later on. But initially, to start with, minimum points you should be in a position to identify and then pick. Raw material cost is coming by way of BOM. BOM is nothing but bill of material. This bill of material contains list of materials that you are using in your manufacturing in your production process. Okay. Next one is your routing. Routing is nothing but list of activities that you are going to perform. When you say list of activities, your list of activities can be anything. When I say my list of activities is a labor, labor is performing an activity, I can say labor hours required is a list of activity. Similarly, any kind of activity I can say machine hours, I can say an activity, or electricity consumption, I can say an activity. Likewise, anything can be my activity. Now, each activity will have to be taken into account while calculating the total manufacturing cost or total production cost. When it comes to overhead, Muthu, can you please go on mute? Okay, when it comes to overhead, you need to understand what kind of overheads are there. In short, your indirect overheads, how these indirect overheads are calculated during your production process. Majority, you will be applying some kind of a percentage, 2%, 5%, 10%. Likewise, this is not again fixed. This is again based on the company to company, based on the process to process, based on the product to product. These will vary, but at the end, these are the key components that you need to identify. When you identify it, first thing what you need to do, you need to identify which material you are going to produce. Once your material is identified, your material should have a price, or your material should have a cost, meaning how much is it going to be costing for you to produce, for you to manufacture a material. Once you identify this will be my material cost, this will be my production cost, you need to have the breakup for it. When I say you need to have the breakup for it, cost breakup is represented by what? How do I represent my cost breakup? How do you represent your cost breakup?
Fixed cost,
Cost
variable cost.
estimate.
Hmm?
Fixed cost, variable cost.
Okay, that is types of cost.
Fixed and
Okay,
For,
sir.
variable.
for example, if I say my material standard cost is 1000
Yes,
rupees.
sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, how do I know how this is becoming 1000? When you say this is 1000 rupees, you are going to ask for the breakup. Why 1000? Yes or no? How come it is becoming 1000? Or you will blindly say, okay,
Uh,
1000 rupees. You need the
no, no,
breakup,
based
right?
No,
on
sir.
cost estimate. Cost estimate.
BOM plus routing plus cost sheet.
So what is that called? What is that name called?
Cost
The
Direct
combined
cost
cost
with
and
Cost
breakup.
indirect cost.
estimate, cost estimate, cost estimate.
standard cost. Standard.
Cost estimate will give you standard cost. 1000 rupees is
Okay,
what
sir.
you are getting with the help of cost estimation. When you're estimating the
Okay, sir.
cost, your cost estimation contains BOM, routing, cost
Okay.
sheet. In
Routing
short,
and cost.
raw
Yes, sir.
material cost, activity cost, overhead cost
Yes.
is combined
Overhead
together
cost.
to form the standard cost.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is the 1000 that I got. This 1000 is giving me a breakup of RM cost, activity cost, overhead cost. How do I get the
Yes, sir.
further breakup of material cost, further breakup of activity cost, further breakup of overhead cost? What is that called as?
Cost combo structure.
That
Cost
is called
invariant.
as
Costing variant.
Cost
cost
combo structure. Cost combo structure.
component structure. Right? This is called as your cost component structure. When I say this is called as your cost component structure, here I can say my standard cost is 1000. Okay, my standard cost is 1000. This standard cost is 1000 is forming with the help of three attributes. Point number one, raw material. Let's say raw material is somewhere around 600, and then second one is my activity cost, let's say 300. Third one I can say, or let's say 60 means 39. Let's say this I'll take 340. Third one I have overheads. Third one I have overheads, I can say 60. Now if I do a total of these three, is equal to 600 plus 340 plus 60. Is it becoming 1000?
Yes, sir.
Right? Now my standard cost
Yes, sir.
breakup I'm able to get with the help of RM cost, activity cost, and then overheads. How system got to know RM cost? Based on what?
Based on BOM.
Based on BOM. How did system come to know activity cost?
Routing.
Based on routing.
Based on routing. Let me put routing here. Overhead.
Cost sheet.
Overhead is based on cost sheet. Are these 3 points clear? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now this 1000 is coming with the help of what? Standard what?
Standard cost.
Standard cost?
Estimate.
Standard cost estimate.
Standard cost estimation or cost estimation. When you're talking about cost estimation, these 3 points are important. Now when you're talking about standard cost estimation, there are two types of cost estimation. What are those two type of cost estimations?
With quantity structure or without quantity structure?
Right? Point number one, in this under standard cost estimation, with quantity structure. Point number two, without quantity structure. Whatever we have given 1000, is it classified as with the quantity, without quantity?
With quantity.
Why?
Quantity.
Without quantity.
Without quantity. Without quantity.
With quantity includes BOM and routing. Without quantity means no BOM and no routing. In your cost estimation, do you have BOM and routing or you do not have?
Yes, sir. BOM and routing is there.
This cost estimation 1000 is containing RM cost, containing activity cost. RM cost is coming with the help of BOM. Activity cost is coming with the help of routing. Now your cost estimation is containing BOM routing or it doesn't have.
Yes, sir. BOM and routing is there.
If BOM and routing is there, it is called as with the quantity or without quantity.
With quantity structure.
Quantity.
It is always represented as with the quantity structure. Even in the real time, most of the cost estimations that we do it with the help of quantity structure. In short, with the help of BOM and routing. This is scenario for time being you park it. Don't think about this scenario until you are completely conceptually clear with this logic, because you need to understand how do you differentiate between with the quantity structure without quantity structure. The only simple fundamental logic is BOM and routing. BOM and routing will form it as a cost estimation with the quantity structure. Without BOM, without routing, it will become cost estimation without quantity structure. Now our cost estimation is with the quantity structure, point number 1 in this example. Okay, this is our example. One sec. All right. Now, if you look at it, you are able to see material standard cost or material standard estimation is 1000. This 1000 you are able to know RM cost, activity cost, overhead cost. What is your RM cost?
600.
600.
600. What is your activity cost?
340.
340.
340. What is your overhead cost?
60
60.
rupees.
60.
60. Is it giving you what are the raw materials?
No, sir.
Is it giving what are the activities?
No, sir.
Is it giving what are the overheads?
No, sir.
If you need further breakup of your RM cost 600, if you
Okay.
need further breakup of RM cost 600, if you need further breakup of activity cost 340, if you need further breakup of overhead 60, then what do you need?
Cost component structure.
You will require cost component structure. This is something that we'll have to define when you're working on product costing. These are all the things that you're going to configure. But before you configure, you need to understand in bits and pieces at very high level what points are there, so that when you're doing the configuration, you will be able to understand why you're doing the setting, what is your example, what is your production process, what are all there. This is not something that you're going to create separate for every product. This is common. When I say this is common, you need to understand overall business process, overall production process, overall manufacturing process, overall costing, how your client is currently working, calculating and controlling the cost. As per that, you are going to design it. Some product may be applicable for certain cost, some product may not be applicable for certain cost. All the scenarios you need to take into account before you do your configuration. That is where you are going to work on business process understanding or requirement gathering session, process finalization, blueprint designing, fit gap analysis, KDS. All these things points will come into the picture at the time of initial understanding. These things are possible for us to understand or for us to be part of any project only when you are clearly understanding the key terminologies, small points in a bits and pieces manner. Meaning, if I tell bomb, you need to understand what is bomb. Forget about what is bomb creation, who will create it, how do we create it, what is the T code for it, a table for it. Ignore it, not required. You need to know bomb means it is containing list of material. List of what material? List of input materials to be used for manufacturing the output material. Input means raw material, output means finished material. Slowly, when you are able to relate the points, you will feel comfortable, you will feel confident step by step. It is not that in one go I will look at everything, I will understand everything. In FI, to some extent it is possible. In CO, it is not at all possible. Okay, this is my 1000. To get further breakup on my 1000, I need to understand my cost component. When I say raw material cost, I can further segregate. Activity cost, I can further segregate. Overhead, I can further segregate. If to see how it is becoming 600, what kind of material, why this is 340, what kind of activities I am performing. Now, once these are there, when you create a production order, when you create a production order, your production order is always created for raw material or for finished material.
Raw material. For raw material.
Production order is created for raw material or it is created for finished material.
Finished material.
Right? Production means you are manufacturing. Are you manufacturing raw material or are you manufacturing finished material? What are you manufacturing?
Finished.
Finished
Hmm?
material.
You are going to manufacture finished material. Your production order will always contain finished material. Right? Your production order will always contain finished material. This finished material is also called as output material or header material. I can say finished material or output material, or I can say header material. People may be using different terminologies. Do not get confused with us. Now, if you wanted to do any production, is it recommended to know the cost of production well in advance, or you will go blindly without knowing what will be the expected cost, estimated cost?
Aid in advance. Standard cost.
You must know
Right?
in advance.
You must know what will be the expected cost well in advance. Now, to do it, point number one, what you are doing for your finished material, you are estimating a cost called as a standard cost estimation. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Right? Each material, each quantity is going to cost you 1000. Why 1000? You have the breakup. Why 600? You have a further breakup. Agree? In short, each material manufacturing is going to cost you 1000. Is it correct with this information, whatever is there on the sheet?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
All right. Now, those who have background noise from your side, please mute immediately once you talk so that it will not create any confusion. All right. So, according to this, we know that the production order you are going to create for a header material or for a finished material, which is going to cost 1000 per unit. It can be kg, it can be liter, it can be anything. It can be anything, but per manufacturing is going to cost you 1000. So, I'll say each product, I'm just going to write it as a product, or each finished product will cost 1000 as cost, as total cost. Each product is going to cost you 1000 as total cost. Now, what is this 1000 called as? Standard cost.
Yes.
Standard cost.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, I can say standard cost. Standard cost per unit is equal to 1000. Okay. Now, when you're creating a production order, do we need to specify what is the expected output or not? Yes or no? When I'm manufacturing, should I know well in advance how much quantity I am going to manufacture, or it is okay whatever I get it?
You have
No, I
to
should.
Know the
know.
You should
quantity.
know.
Right? We must know the quantity that you are going to produce well in advance. Only then I will do my preparation activities accordingly. If I'm going to manufacture 1 unit, I know for manufacturing of 1 unit what is required. If I'm going to manufacturing 100, Accordingly, I am going to make sure that everything is arranged properly. I am not supposed to fall short of any material. I am not supposed to fall short of any labor, any other direct expenses which are associated with manufacturing process. For this to happen, I need to make sure my manufacturing quantity, my production quantity, my expected output is known to me well in advance. Only then I can start my production process or I can start my manufacturing process. Let's say we are manufacturing a quantity of
It's mentioned in the
100.
purchase order.
No, this is nowhere related to purchase order. We are not talking about purchases now. We are talking about manufacturing.
Okay.
Okay, so we are going to manufacture a quantity of 1000. Now, if you know that what will be the cost per unit, what is the cost per unit to produce a material?
1,000.
1000. Now, the expected cost for 100 units will be a simple logic of 1000 multiplied by 100. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, correct.
What is this 1000 multiplied by called? Or what will be the amount? Is it 10,000 or 1 lakh?
1 lakh.
1 lakh.
1, 2. Okay. Is
1 lakh.
the number of zeros correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. This is my 1 lakh. Now, what is this 1 lakh called as?
Standard
Cost
cost.
amount.
Not, this is your standard cost.
Total
Actual
amount of
cost.
100 units.
Total cost for the
Cost of
100 units.
Production cost.
cost of goods manufactured.
Hmm?
Actual cost of the
Cost of goods
manufacturing.
manufactured.
This 100,000 you identified or you calculated before starting the production or after completing the production?
Before.
Before production.
Before
Before.
starting the
So
production.
before there is no point of actual, right? Is there any point called actual before manufacturing? Yes, no?
Estimated cost of goods manufacturing, sir.
Right. That is called as, there is another term called target cost. Anybody heard a term called target cost?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Right. This is the target cost 100,000, or you can also call it as plan cost. This is what you are planning. You are planning to complete the production with 100,000, or your target cost to produce your target quantity. What is your target quantity? Target means which you are going to achieve. What is the quantity that you are going to achieve?
100 units.
100 units.
To achieve 100 quantity, your target cost will be how much? 100,000. How this quantity is, how this value is coming? Planned quantity multiplied by what rate?
Standard cost.
Standard cost estimate.
Standard cost. These formulas I'll tell you later on. Once we actually start the configuration and all, at that time I'll explain the different formulas and all with which you will be able to easily understand. This is your target cost or planned cost for 100,000. Now, once you're starting this manufacturing process, once the manufacturing process has started, you are going to actually consume the goods and services, or you are going to actually consume the input materials, input services. Agree? Let's say we have started the production process. Once you start the production process, in order to move forward with your production activity, do you need to issue the material or not? Yes or
Yes, we
no?
need to.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Once your material production is started, you need to start dumping the raw material, right? Without dumping the raw material, without issuing the raw material, without consuming the raw material, you will not be able to initiate the process. Now you are going to issue the raw material. When you are issuing the raw material, you are consuming the raw material. Yes or no? Your stock is going in or going out?
Going out.
Going out from raw material going into production order? You're not selling your stock to anybody. Instead, you're consuming internally. Yes or no? We are not selling stock to anyone, but you are consuming internally. Meaning this, if you are selling stock to somebody, you are going to call it as a COGS. Agree? You are debiting COGS.
Yes.
If you put your PGI accounting entry here as part of your ST integration, PGI, your accounting entry is what?
We
COGS
don't need
debit,
to calculate
Inventory stock.
inventory credit. Forget about this point here. The logic that you need to do here is you are putting the inventory credit because stock is getting reduced. Agree? Inventory is on the credit side
Yes,
because inventory is getting reduced. You are taking out the material. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? Whatever the material you are taking, you are supposed to credit the material because irrespective of the material, raw material, finished material, semi-finished material, packing material, it is an asset. Current asset. Any material inward is a debit. Any material outward is a credit. Meaning incoming material will be debited, outgoing material will be credited. In this example, your raw material is coming in or going out?
Going out.
It is going out. Your inventory account is credit. Which inventory account will be credited?
the stock is getting reduced.
Raw material. Inventory
Raw
raw
material
material.
account, right? This is going to be
Inventory
inventory raw material. Accounting treatment will remain the same. You need to understand based on the scenario what material is going in, what material is going out. Everywhere it is supposed to be inventory only because at the end it is material, asset in nature. Asset always tells debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Your material is going out, you are going to credit your inventory. That's it. If it is finished product, put inventory finished product. If it is raw material, put inventory raw material. Now this will be credit, and then this is going out by way of what? Are you selling it to customer?
No. No.
We are not selling it to customer. We are consuming it internally. Since you are consuming it internally, you are not supposed to put COGS. Instead, you are going to put what account? Raw material
Consumption.
consumption account debit. Because you are consuming the material, your accounting entry will be raw material consumption account debit, inventory account credit. Inventory means inventory raw material credit. These accounting entries are again coming from your OBYC config. These accounting entries are again coming from OBYC setting, which we will see later on accounting impact for the production order or CO module. Now, if I come back here, when you started the production process, you are going to, we will issue raw material. Yes or no? You are going to consume the raw material from your stock.
Yes.
Right? Now this is becoming your RM cost, raw material cost. Value of that material is equivalent to RM cost. Is my statement correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Whatever is the value is there in that material master, that material master value multiplied by quantity that I am using in my production process will give me RM cost or raw material cost, raw material consumption cost. Am I correct? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right? For
Yes, sir.
example, as per this, this is going to be 600. RM cost is a 600. For how many units it is a 600?
For each unit.
For each unit. Are we manufacturing one unit or are we manufacturing more than one unit?
More than one
More
unit.
than one
More
year.
than one unit.
More than
More than one unit. For one quantity of production, raw material cost is a 600. For 100 quantity of production, what will be the raw material cost?
60,000. 60,000.
60,000.
60,000. 100 into 60.
Right? So
100.
it is ideally 100 into 600. Agree?
Sir.
It is supposed to
Yes,
be
sir.
60,000. Now let's say I'll put this. Let's say I'll put this. This is my plan. Then I'll say I'll also put actual. You need actual also,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes.
Actually, by the time you start your manufacturing, by the time you start your production, there may be changes in the price, possible or not,
Possible.
Yes, sir.
Very much
right? I may
possible.
say 100 products, 100 quantity I'm producing. Instead of 600, I have incurred 605 rupees. Possible or not?
Yes, sir. Possible.
Now
Ajay,
this is called as actual cost.
when we maintain the stock, that time only we maintain its price also, no? So then later, if in market it fluctuates also, so how it will affect our stock costing?
This will come from the various factor. Point number one, there may be quantity variance. Point number one, there may be price variance. In this example, let's say standard price per unit did not change. When I say standard price per unit did not change, it remained 600 only. So 600 multiplied by 100 is supposed to be 60,000 due to some reason. Due to some reason, let's say 600, let's say I used one quantity excess. I can put like this also. How much is now? Let's say during the manufacturing process, this is a sensitive item, or one unit is broken down, one unit is damaged. Instead of 100 unit, now am I using 101 unit?
Yes.
Yes.
Ideally, I am supposed to input 100 quantity for producing raw material. Sorry, for producing my finished product of 100 quantity, 100 units of raw material is required. But unfortunately, one unit got defected, one unit got damaged. I need to input additional unit,
Yes, yes.
Yes.
right? This unit got defect, this unit got damaged, or any other thing, XYZ reason. It could be anything. It is a variance. This variance, this mismatch happened because of this manufacturing process. Agree? So I need to
Yes.
take that cost into this manufacturing. That is where I'm going to add it here. Now there is a difference or there is no difference?
Difference.
Difference.
How much?
600.
600. 1 unit.
600 is the different. Okay. So here we are not concerned about the quantity. We are concerned about the cost, because you are a CO consultant. Production team, logistics team, they are concerned about the quantity. How much quantity is going in, how much quantity is going out. They are concerned about it. As a consultant of FICO, you are always concerned about quantity or value. What is your concern?
Value.
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 Your
Value.
concern is always value, right? Ideally, it is supposed to be 60,000, but we ended up spending 60,600. Did you spend more or did you spend less?
More.
More.
And more.
More.
600 more.
More.
We spent more of 600. Now this is 600 is additional cost or it is a saving?
Additional.
Additional cost.
Additional cost.
This is your additional cost. Additional cost means, is it a favorable or unfavorable?
Unfavorable.
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 This is your unfavorable. This is your unfavorable. Unfavorable means positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative.
Negative. Negative means it is supposed to be plus 600 or minus 600.
Minus 600.
Minus.
Minus.
To
Minus.
get minus 600, what will be the formula? Plan minus actual or actual minus plan?
Plan minus actual.
Plan.
actual.
Plan minus
So
Plan
if I
minus
take,
actual.
yeah, if I take 60,000 plan value minus actual 60,600, I am able to get negative 600 here. Now this plan, we had given one more term. What is the other term for plan?
Target
Target.
cost.
Target cost.
Target cost. Now you'll have to put plan or target. You'll have to put plan or target because people might be majoritarily using a term called a target cost than a planned cost. Okay, but either ways you should not get confused. Don't get confused when somebody is using a target cost, when somebody is using planned cost. Please don't get unnecessary confusion. Be with your basic understanding with these points. Later on, once we start the additional sessions and all, I will elaborate furthermore on each topic. Now, there is a variance of 600. This is 600 is called as what?
Variance.
Full cost.
Additional
This is called as a variance.
Negative variance.
Let's say I'll
Sorry,
call it
I
as a
think it is a
variance.
positive variance, right?
Sorry?
So it is positive variance, right? The 600.
No, negative.
Negative
Okay.
variance.
Negative only. Unfavorable.
Okay.
Okay. Now, next one. We performed various activities. What was our activity cost? 340 per unit. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Now, it is supposed to be how much? 100 multiplied by 340.
34,000.
34,000.
34,000.
Right? This is supposed to be your target cost, or this is supposed to be your planned cost. This is what you thought of manufacturing. Due to different reasons, this can also go up or come down.
Go up.
Yes, sir.
Let's say
Both can
you got
happen.
labor at a higher rate, or your production did not happen, or there is a electricity power shutdown. You had to ask your labor to wait for 3 more hours extra. Any reason could be there. So let us not talk about the reason why this can go up, but there is a possibility that this can go up. Agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
Assume that it had become 35,000. Let's say this has become 35,000. Now there is a variance or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
How much is the variance?
1,000.
Minus 1,000.
Minus 1,000.
Minus 1,000. This is a variance. I'll put this also variance. This is also unfavorable. Last one is what? Overheads.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
in raw material, we have taken 101 units in actual.
Mm-mm.
So same here also we cannot take, no? Means
No,
101 multiplied by 340, no?
this is
It's not
not
based.
based on the material. This is based on the labor. For example, to produce one material, I need 1 hour of labor. Okay, due to some reasons, one labor did not come. I had to hire an external labor to whom I paid extra money. Or to complete the production today itself, I had to extend the labor by 1 hour. I need to pay excess amount or bonus to the labor.
Yes, yes.
Right? Like this, there can be any reason. Whatever the activity that you are performing, it can be actually the same that you planned, or it can be excess, or it can be less. Three are possible. Same is possible, excess is possible, shortage is also possible. Accordingly, this will be
Yes.
calculated. We are now taking an example where things are different. Now, third one, overhead. How our overhead was calculated here? This is your 10% of raw material cost.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right? This is your 10% of raw material cost. If I take this here, ideally it is supposed to be 60,000 multiplied by 10%. Agree? 6,000. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now, ideally, how much it had become? 60,600 on this 10%. There is no variation here. This is by default calculated by the system. Now, this is 6,060. By default, there is a variation because this is a dependent activity. Any variation here?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
60.
60.
60 is the
60.
variation. negative 60. This is also unfavorable. This is also unfavorable. Now, actually, what is the expected cost for production of this? Can I say
1
this
lakh.
is my expected production, expected cost?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
This is my expected cost of production. Clear with this number? 100,000.
Yes, sir.
This was my
Yes, sir.
planned cost, or this was my target cost to produce 100 quantity of output. But I ended up spending how much? This much,
1 lakh 1660.
1,01,660.
right? There is a variance. This variance is how much? 1660.
1660.
Okay. Now, whenever you're talking about any production order or any manufacturing content, any manufacturing stuff, at the end of every month, there is something called month-end activity. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Two
sir. Yes, sir.
points majoritarily you need to understand from month-end activity. Point number one is here WIP, which is nothing but what? Work in
Work in
Work in
progress.
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 Work in process.
Point number two is your variance. Okay, point number one, work in progress. Point number two, variance. Now, this work in progress, this variance is always the same number. Is always the same number. Now, you have something called difference. Can I call variance as a difference?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Can
Yes,
I
sir.
call variance
Yes,
as
sir.
a difference?
Yes, sir.
Now, here, this is my difference. Here also, this is my difference. Here also this is my different, but at any given point of a time, either one or two, only one is supposed to come. Two will never come together. You're not supposed to bring two together. You should always bring either work in progress or variance. How do you decide whether there is a work in progress or there is a variance? What is the logic?
Based on production.
Production percentage of material.
Right?
Production
Based
output.
on the
Order status.
production
Output.
completeness. Now my production completeness can be either
Completely
fully
produced or
completed,
partially produced.
partly completed. Both are possible or not?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
possible.
Right? There is no rule that you start manufacturing today, you will end up within this month. Not possible. This is always calculated at the month end. Meaning, in this month, whatever the manufacturing activities that I've started, I need to make sure whether by month end, whether I'm able to complete the manufacturing or not. Sometimes it is not possible. It may take 2 months to complete the production. It may take 3 months to complete the production. In that case, you are going to take, for example, point number one, if it is a fully completed. In case of a fully completed, what are you going to call it? Fully completed
Variance.
Variance
means what?
difference.
It is a variance. If your production is fully completed, this 1660 will be treated as a variance. Okay, agree?
Yes.
If it is partially completed,
Work in progress.
Work in progress.
Work in progress.
ignore the number calculation. I'm just going ahead with the basic fundamental thinking, fundamental logics. Okay, if this is partially completed, you are going to call it as work in progress.
Yes.
Until it's fully completed, we cannot calculate the variance also.
Sorry.
No, I said until it's fully completed, we cannot calculate the variance.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, variance is where you are going to settling to the product. Okay, work in progress, what is going to happen? You are going to tell what is the actual percentage of the work that you have completed at the end of this month. Now, ideally, I need, let's say, for example, to put it in a different words, production completed. Let's say, if I say partially completed, now these points are clear so far. These numbers are clear.
Yeah, clear.
This one
Yes,
liners
yes.
alone. I'm not connecting anything with each other. I'm just trying to explain simple terminology, basic calculation. I hope you're not getting confused here, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? Yeah. Next thing, what I'll write here is, let's say, uh, target quantity is equal to 100 units. This is what we were referring to.
Yes,
Agree?
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, at the end of the month, at the end of the month, we could produce only 80 units. It means, is this called as fully completed or partially completed?
Partially completed.
Partially completed.
This is
Partially.
partially completed. This is partially completed. Now, what is the uncompleted or unproduced quantity?
20.
20.
20%, 20 quantity.
20 units.
20 quantity or this 20 units. What is your WIP quantity?
20.
20.
20.
Is it correct? WIP.
86.
WIP means not yet received the output. 80 already received. So 80 is
20
already
units.
completed.
20.
Right? 20 is something that is yet to come, yet to complete or yet to be produced. Now can I call 20 as my WIP?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes.
material has status. There's something called a material, and each material has a status. What are the statuses that you usually find for a material?
Finished, semi-finished.
Work in progress.
Raw material, semi-finished, finished.
Not type, status.
Incomplete.
Delivered, not delivered.
In stock, issued.
Correct. For example, if I take any stock, okay, I'll put any plant, let me execute. Let me check if I can find anything. Here you can see something called, what is the first one?
Unrestricted use.
Unrestricted use.
Okay, if I scroll down, drag this here, and you see there are so many status,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Stock in
Now
transit, transfer.
right? Now here, initially your material will be is on order stock. Maybe it is
Yes,
under
sir.
a status where it is already reserved for your production.
Yes, sir.
In short, it is already blocked. Material is blocked against the production order, meaning though you find material lying on the floor, nobody can use it because this is going to be consumed for an ongoing production activity, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Agree?
Yes.
Right? Though you can see the physical material available, nobody can use it because it is restricted material. Can I say that this is a restricted material?
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
Reserved material.
When you, yeah, reserved material or blocked material. Now this material is blocked, is reserved for this production activity of 100 quantity. Now at the end of the month, you are able to consume the total 100 quantity or only 80 quantity.
80.
80 quantity.
Only 80 quantity.
80.
Right? How much quantity is rectified, or how much quantity is left over, not utilized within
20.
the month?
20.
20.
20.
20.
20.
20 units.
Right? During work in progress, during WIP, two things will happen. Point number one, it is going to create an accounting entry. Point number one, it is going to create an accounting entry. Point number two, material which is not used, material which is not consumed, its status will become unrestricted from the restricted or from the blocked stock. Tomorrow when somebody is asking in the interview, these are all the points that you need to quote. What will happen when you do WIP? Accounting entry, everybody will tell. What else is going to happen? You need to tell status of the material which is unused during the month will have the status of restricted to unrestricted. Otherwise, your balance sheet will show incorrect position. Ideally, you
Yes,
were
sir.
supposed to consume 100. Did you consume 100?
No.
No, 80 only consumed.
80 only consumed. 20 is still supposed to be shown under balance sheet as available stock at the end of the month.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right? These things will also have to be taken care from our side. These things will also have to be taken care from our side. Entry is posted, it's okay, not okay. You need to understand other connected, other associated points also slowly. Then when we take examples, when we're trying to actually relate one actual production, when we're actually trying to take one actual production, by writing the proper step-by-step figures values, you will be able to properly relate everything without having any confusion. Even though you don't do any product cost configuration, still you will take an example in the Excel sheet, ask anybody to do the product costing, they have to bring the same number. Only then their product costing, their CO knowledge is correct, otherwise not correct. As simple as like your asset accounting. When you say asset accounting, even though you don't configure asset accounting, can you still plot or calculate all the asset number?
Yes,
Asset
sir.
purchase date, right? Depreciation method, till what date, if you are selling on this particular date, no matter who is doing it, everybody should bring the same number,
Yes, sir.
provided the logic that you are following, provided the accounting logic that you are applying, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right? In the similar way here also, this is very simple basically, because most of the activities are performed by the PP side, and then the MM side and all. You need to just make sure what is the process that they are going to follow. In this process, where you are going to get involved, where cost is getting involved, how you are capturing the cost, how the cost is being posted, how your variances are coming, how WIP is coming, how you are reevaluating the material and all. Slowly, when you understand, you will practically relate with the movement of value, with the movement of quantity. What quantity is going in, what quantity is going out, and how value is being updated in case of everything, where you are capturing it. Now here, you're talking about FI or CO?
CO.
You're talking
CO.
about what? CO. Now everywhere there is a monetary involvement or not?
Yes, sir.
CO contains GL account, am I correct? Or this is incorrect?
Incorrect.
Yes, sir.
Correct,
CO
correct.
doesn't contain the GL account. CO will never have a GL account. CO will have what?
Cost.
Cost
Cost
elements.
elements.
CO will have a cost element.
Elements.
So you'll have to understand everything with respect to cost element. When you're talking about cost element, you know that there are how many types of cost elements?
Two.
Two types.
Primary
Two.
cost element, secondary cost element.
Secondary and
That
primary.
Right, you have primary cost elements. Second one, you have
Secondary cost element.
secondary cost element. Now, in case of everything, you need to understand where primary cost elements are getting accounted, where secondary cost elements are getting accounted. Meaning, you have various things here. Everywhere you're writing about the values here, right? You're
Yes,
talking
sir.
about 60,000, 60,600, 600 and all, and you're talking about variance and all. Where system is going to use primary cost element, where system is going to use a secondary cost element, slowly we need to understand, not at this moment. Not at this moment. Next thing, slowly we need to understand once these points, these calculations are clear, we need to make sure where and all primary cost elements are used, where and all secondary cost elements are used. If it is a primary cost element, what is the debit and credit? If it is a secondary cost element, what is the debit and credit? Ideal or basic understanding is, if it is a primary cost element, it is a accounting entry. Entry is updated both in FI and CO. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
If
Yes,
it
Yes.
is a
sir.
primary cost element, it is going to be updated in both FI and CO. On the other side, if it is a secondary cost element, it is going to update only in the controlling. Is this correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Right? If it is primary cost element, accounting document, you will have debit and credit. If it is controlling document, do you have debit and credit in controlling?
No,
No.
sir.
No.
No, one
Yes,
aspect
no,
only, debit or credit.
right?
No,
So
sir.
debit or credit when it comes to primary cost element, but when it comes to secondary cost element, do you have debit credit in secondary cost element posting during the production? You will have.
No, sir. Either
you will
debit.
have you will have
Yes, yes.
debit and credit, but within the cost assignment, within the controlling object, within the CO object. CO object means cost center, order, this kind of a thing. Sales order, these are the things, your cost object, profitability segment. So you may be debiting and crediting from here and there. You may be moving within the order to, between the order to cost center to order, activity type, all these kind of things you may be using. This is not required at this moment because there are certain points which will create a confusion, which I'm not explaining at this moment. So far, whatever we talked, is it clear? You're able to visualize the things, right? You're able to connect the dots, terms and all,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, go through
Yes.
this one or two times. Try to replicate your own examples here. Meaning, I took 100 rupees, you take some other quantity, I took 300 or I took 400, whatever. You replace the number. Try to understand. Try to understand. Try to feel that you are not getting confused. I'm not telling you get confidence on the day one itself. It is not going to happen. Make sure you are not getting confused. Your effort is not to gain confidence. Your effort is not to get confused, because getting confident on day one, it is impossible. Don't try impossible things. Try the possible thing. Try to not get confused, because it is going to get confused. Make sure you are not going to get confused. That is your effort. Your effort is not to gain confidence. Your effort is not to get comfortable. Your effort is not to get confused. Clear?
Ajay,
Yes, sir.
secondary cost element is S/4HANA same entry in ACC and S/4HANA or in its
Same
own
entry.
entry?
It is the same entry here and there. No change.
Sir, what is mixed costing?
That we will talk once some more points are clear, then only you will be able to understand. Because I'm going in a sequence, slowly I'll connect different points wherein you will automatically understand different terminologies that we will be using in product costing, COPA, and then actual costing. Okay.
Price
I think
difference also
only
comes under variance.
Now, as of now, I want everybody to refer only this, because in the upcoming sessions, I'll connect the points which are continuation to it, which will automatically clarify most of the doubts, because it is still incomplete. Okay, this is still incomplete. Whatever the extent that we have covered, only to that extent I want everybody to refer and then understand. Beyond this, do not go, because as I mentioned, controlling, especially if you are not going in a proper sequence with the proper understanding, high chances are there that you will get lost completely. It will be a complete mess. You will not be able to understand where you are lost, how to come out from it. Okay. All right, fine then. So we will connect at the same time tomorrow in the evening. Good night.
Sir, one
Sir,
small
please share.
question.
Yes, sir.
The
Thank you.
interview sessions.
1 minute.